And on the panel today can throw us some negatives about Norway that are topping the group, that have scored all these goals, and yet still he's not fully convinced that they're going to finish.
Listen, Gab has just been on the show, said that he missed 2 World Cups. We missed the last 6.
We knew it's a good team. I don't know if they have objectives in this tournament. Like Alexis said, they're having fun, they're enjoying whatever they go through. They seem to be happy, and they're making history. And I'm from Sweden. If Sweden doesn't win, we're happy for our neighbors, Scandinavian neighbors. So they continue to row that boat. Let's see how far that boat can go.
For years, Norway was little more than an afterthought on football's biggest stage. Now, they have returned with a team that looks ready to challenge anyone at the World Cup. It had been 28 years since Norway's last World Cup appearance.
I mean, it is a side that is again, it's going to be a side that nobody is going to want in their group.
Their previous major tournament was Euro 2000, followed by more than 2 decades of qualification failures. A whole generation grew up seeing Norway as a nation with talented players, but never one that delivered when the stakes were highest.
And the likes of Kylian Mbappe, how big a challenge is that going to be for Norway? You guys in flying form, can't wait for it.
Honestly, I don't care too much now. We're through. We managed to get through, which is incredible. So I couldn't care too much about that game now. They're probably going to win against us. They're probably going to win the whole tournament.
Well, that's quite the statement. But congratulations, through to the knockout stage, and you can't stop smiling, so well done.
This time, everything changed. Norway qualified in dominant fashion, winning all 8 of their qualifying matches, scoring 37 goals, and conceding just 5 while finishing ahead of Italy. They also defeated Italy twice. Erling Haaland led the way with 16 qualifying goals, more than some national teams managed in total. Martin Odegaard arrived as captain, playmaker, and the team's driving force after leading Arsenal to the Premier League title and becoming one of Europe's most influential creative midfielders. Throughout qualifying, he consistently supplied chances and dictated the tempo of Norway's attack. Alongside them, Alexander Sørloth, Jørgen Strand Larsen, Antonio Nusa, Oscar Bob, and Julian Ryerson provide power, speed, creativity, and depth. They can break teams down with quick passing, stretch opponents through the wings, or attack directly through the middle. Give them one opening, and they have the quality to punish it. That balance is what makes this Norway squad feel like a genuine contender. Norway did not arrive at this World Cup simply to make up the numbers.
We will, to be honest, I will just try to enjoy now the game, and then for sure we'll do analysis the next days. But now it's important to enjoy this moment, and then we will for sure look what we need to do next game.
Thank you. Brazil that they never lost. I think it's played 4 times and never lost. Can you say that it's the biggest football match in Norwegian history? Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, today was already one of the biggest moments. So whatever comes next now is going to be even bigger. So we really just have to enjoy the moment. You know, this is crazy to be part of, and yeah, I'm so happy for that.
They backed up their flawless qualifying campaign by reaching the knockout stage and then earning the country's first ever World Cup knockout victory with a dramatic 2-1 win over Côte d'Ivoire. That victory set up one of the tournament's biggest matches against Brazil. And there is one remarkable piece of history that makes that matchup even more fascinating. Brazil have never beaten Norway. Across every previous meeting, Norway remain unbeaten against the 5-time world champions. Suddenly, this no longer feels like a dream story.
You have a superstar in your team in Erling Haaland. Would you swap him for any other striker in this World Cup?
No, I think he's the greatest goal scorer in the world. I think there's no doubt about that. To score 5 goals in the World Cup in 3 games for a little country like Norway, that's I don't think even he had thought that he could do that before. So all the credit to him, and I would never swap him for anyone because he's the greatest goal scorer in the world football today.
It feels like a team that genuinely believes it can compete with anyone. There is a reason so many teams would rather avoid Norway. Their return to the World Cup has been anything but ordinary. After more than 2 decades away, they have come back with a squad built to compete at the highest level. For years, Norway felt like a forgotten name in international football. Their last men's World Cup appearance came in France in 1998, when they famously defeated Brazil in Marseille, before eventually losing to Italy in the round of 16. Now, nearly 3 decades later, They have returned to the knockout stage once again, and once again, Brazil stand in their way. After Euro 2000, everything stopped.
You know, Zlatan, you know what he told me? Never cut your hair because the strength is in the hair.
No!
So what can I do? I have to listen to him, no?
No World Cup in 2002, no Euros in 2004, no World Cup in 2006, no Euros in 2008, no World Cup in 2010, no Euros in 2012, no World Cup in 2014, no Euros in 2016, no World Cup in 2018, no Euros in 2020, no World Cup in 2022, no Euros in 2024. That was not just a rough stretch. It was an entire generation without seeing Norway on football's biggest stages. Few national teams have spent as long waiting to return as Norway. An entire generation of supporters grew up without ever seeing their country play in a major tournament. Norway was never expected to dominate world football, but nobody expected them to disappear from the biggest stage for so long. Back in the 1990s, Norway had a clear identity. They were physical, organized, direct, and dangerous from set pieces. It was not always exciting to watch, but it worked. At the 1,994 and 1,998 World Cups, they were one of the toughest teams to face because they made every match difficult. As football evolved though, Norway struggled to keep up, and the old approach was no longer enough. Every qualifying campaign seemed to follow the same pattern. Early hope, growing frustration, complicated qualification scenarios, and another painful ending. That is why reaching the 2026 World Cup means so much.
What did you know about Norway? First of all, me, of course, Erling Haaland. I think people think I'm like a bit like this, but I'm really calm, you know. I'm just want to have a good time. That's really what I want to do.
It is more than just qualifying. It ends a drought so long that many fans now watching Haaland and Odegaard had never experienced Norway playing a major tournament match. What makes the turnaround even more surprising is when it happened. It arrived just as Ståle Solbakken appeared to be running out of chances. He became Norway's manager in December 2020 with one clear mission. The country finally had world-class talent, and Erling Haaland was quickly becoming one of Europe's most feared strikers. With Martin Odegaard developing into the team's captain and creative leader, many believed Norway's breakthrough had finally arrived. Instead, more disappointment followed. They missed out on the 2022 World Cup and then failed to qualify for Euro 2024. Each setback brought heavier criticism because this was no longer a squad short on talent. Norway had two of the biggest stars in world football, backed by a strong group of players across the pitch. The expectations kept rising, and the excuses were disappearing. Then came October 2024 when everything nearly unraveled. Norway travelled to Austria and suffered a crushing 5-1 defeat. The result was painful, but what it revealed was even more concerning. Norway wanted to play with a higher defensive line, attack with more confidence, and leave behind their cautious style. Austria exposed every weakness by repeatedly attacking the space behind the defense. The back line looked exposed throughout the match. The midfield and defense became disconnected, and Norway struggled to deal with quick transitions. Once Austria took control, there was no way back. Reports after the defeat suggested that only around 18% of supporters still wanted Ståle Solbakken to remain as manager. Whether completely accurate or not, the message was clear. Confidence in the manager had reached its lowest point. That was the moment when the entire project seemed ready to fall apart. In many countries, a heavy defeat, 2 failed qualification campaigns, growing fan frustration, and a talented generation falling short would have led to a coaching change. Norway chose a different path. They kept Solbakken, and that decision became the turning point, because everything that followed was built through real progress, not good fortune. The biggest change was not bringing in new stars. It was changing the way the team played together. Norway stayed ambitious but became far more disciplined. They learned when to press high and when to drop back and protect space. The team stayed compact, the midfield offered better cover, the fullbacks picked their moments more carefully, and their attacking talent finally operated within a balanced system instead of leaving huge gaps behind. That is the difference between having gifted players and becoming a genuine threat. Talent gives you someone like Haaland. A strong structure gives him the platform to decide matches. By the time the 2026 World Cup qualifiers began, Norway looked calm, organised, and confident. They had learned from years of disappointment. and it showed throughout a qualifying campaign that completely changed how people viewed them. 8 matches, 8 victories, 37 goals scored and only 5 conceded. Norway did not sneak into the World Cup. They earned their place with complete authority. Their biggest statement came against Italy, a nation that had long represented everything Norway wanted to become. A regular tournament team with a winning history on football's biggest stage. Norway won 3-0 at home before travelling to Milan and sealing qualification with a commanding 4-1 victory. Those results changed reputations overnight. Before those wins, Norway were often seen as the team with Haaland and Odegaard that still could not qualify. After them, they became one of the most dangerous teams heading into the World Cup. And after following up that qualifying campaign with a dramatic 2-1 knockout victory over Côte d'Ivoire, the rest of the football world had even more reason to take them seriously. That transformation took more than 25 years, 2 failed qualification campaigns under Ståle Solbakken, a painful 5-1 defeat to Austria, and 1 decision to keep faith in the coaching staff. Norway are no longer back as spectators. They have returned with experience, confidence, and a squad that has already fought through setbacks, criticism, tactical challenges, and years away from football's biggest stage. Every World Cup has a team that changes expectations. Norway believe they can be that team, and while Erling Haaland draws most of the attention, Martin Odegaard may be the player who makes everything work. Haaland finishes the chances. Odegaard creates the game. That difference defines this Norwegian side. They are no longer just a physical, direct team built around long balls and second balls. Now they have a captain who controls the rhythm of a match. Odegaard knows when to slow the game, when to increase the tempo, how to receive the ball under pressure, and how to move defenders with a single pass before the opening even appears. He arrived at the World Cup full of confidence after captaining Arsenal to the Premier League title and leading them to the 2026 UEFA Champions League final, where they were narrowly beaten by PSG in a penalty shootout. That kind of experience is priceless in tournament football. It teaches players how to handle pressure, frustration, and the emotional swings that come with the biggest matches. Odegaard has already lived through those moments at club level. His World Cup qualifying numbers were outstanding. Even though he played only 5 of Norway's 8 qualifiers, he still recorded 7 assists, the most of any player in European qualifying. He also scored once, completed nearly 90% of his passes, and remained the key connection between Norway's midfield and attack every time he stepped onto the pitch. His role becomes even more dangerous against defensive teams. Odegaard naturally drifts into the right half space between the midfield and defensive lines, forcing opponents into difficult decisions every time he gets on the ball. Stopping Norway is far more complicated than simply marking Erling Haaland. Every defensive choice creates another problem. Step out to close down Martin Odegaard, and Haaland immediately attacks the space behind. Stay compact, and Odegaard threads passes into runners, switches play, or links up with the overlapping fullback. Drop too deep, and Norway patiently move the ball around the edge of the box until an opening appears through a cross or a set piece. Focus too heavily on Haaland, and Odegaard quickly finds the unmarked teammate. That is what makes this attack so difficult to stop. Haaland grabs the headlines, but Odegaard is the player who keeps the entire system moving. The supporting cast is just as important, and few players represent that better than Julian Ryerson. He may not attract the same attention, but his role is vital. During the 2025-26 Bundesliga season with Borussia Dortmund, he registered 15 league assists, an extraordinary return for a fullback, and one of the best creative seasons by a defender in Germany in recent years. Ryerson played every minute of Norway's qualifying campaign, giving Ståle Solbakken reliability, width, defensive intensity, and quality deliveries from the right side. His positioning is especially valuable because Alexander Sørloth often drifts inside after Norway regain possession, allowing Ryerson to provide the width. It is a simple pattern, but one that repeatedly creates dangerous situations. Ryerson advances down the flank, Sørloth attacks the far post or the inside channel, Haaland occupies the centre-backs, and Odegaard delivers the final pass. That is a rehearsed system, not a lucky sequence. Behind them, Sander Berge provides balance in midfield. Standing 1.95 metres tall and coming off an impressive Premier League season with Fulham, he brings both physical presence and composure. He protects the defence when Odegaard moves forward, covers dangerous transition areas, and offers a calm passing option under pressure. With attacking players like Haaland, Sørloth, Strand Larsen, Nusa, and Bob, Norway needs someone to hold everything together, and Berge fills that role. Norway's defence deserves far more respect than it usually gets. Christopher Aje brings valuable Premier League experience after another strong season with Brentford. He is comfortable defending wide areas, carrying the ball out from the back, and handling the difficult periods when Norway must sit deep, win physical battles, and protect their penalty area. Those moments are certain to come. Against teams like France or Brazil, Norway are unlikely to dominate possession from start to finish. Alongside Ajer, Torbjørn Hegem adds height, strength, and the balance of a left-footed centre-back. After an impressive 2025-26 campaign with Bologna in Serie A and European competition, he arrives with valuable experience. His role is straightforward but crucial. Protect the box, win aerial duels, and deal confidently with set pieces. On the left side, David Müller-Wolf gives Norway the profile of a modern fullback. He is comfortable pushing forward, can play as either a left-back or wing-back, and provides natural width whenever the winger drifts inside. The biggest question is his match sharpness after limited starting opportunities at club level, but his style matches exactly what Ståle Solbakken wants from the position. He is aggressive going forward, while still having the pace to recover defensively. One of Norway's biggest strengths is the stability of the squad. 7 players started every World Cup qualifier. In international football, where managers have very little training time and team chemistry is often difficult to build, that continuity is a major advantage. This group already understands each other's movements. They know when teammates make overlapping runs, when Sørloth moves inside, where Haaland wants the ball, and the areas where Odegaard is most dangerous. Tournament football often rewards that kind of familiarity. Norway are not without weaknesses. Their defensive line will face serious tests, and the goalkeeping position remains one area that opponents will look to test. The biggest difference with this Norway team is that opponents have to prepare for far more than Erling Haaland. Beyond the headlines, there is Martin Odegaard, Julian Ryerson, Sander Berger, Christopher Ajer, Torbjørn Hegem, David Müller-Wolf, Alexander Sørloth, Jørgen Strand Larsen, Antonio Nusa, and Oscar Bob. That group brings height, creativity, balance, pace, width, and experience from Europe's biggest leagues. Just as important, they have played together long enough to build genuine chemistry. Norway are not a threat simply because they have 2 world-class stars. They are dangerous because the entire squad now looks capable of competing at the highest level from front to back. Their run to the World Cup knockout stage has only reinforced that belief. That is the biggest change from the Norway many fans remember. The teams of 1994 and 1998 earned respect by being physical, organized, direct, and extremely difficult to break down. They turned matches into battles, attacked second balls, relied on long passes, and forced opponents into constant duels. That approach produced famous moments, including the memorable 2-1 victory over Brazil in Marseille at the 1998 World Cup. The difference is that this version has far more options. Ståle Solbakken has kept the physical edge while adding much greater tactical flexibility. Norway can still play long toward Haaland, Sørloth, or Strand Larsen. They remain dangerous from crosses and set pieces, helped by one of the tallest squads in the tournament. At the same time, Odegaard can find space between the lines. Antonio Nusa and Oscar Bob can stretch defenses with their dribbling. Ryerson provides quality from advanced wide areas, and the midfield is comfortable keeping possession instead of simply clearing danger. That balance is why Norway's qualifying campaign was no fluke. 8 matches, 8 victories, 37 goals scored, and only 5 conceded. More importantly, they carried that form into the World Cup itself, reaching the knockout stage before defeating Côte d'Ivoire 2-1 to set up a blockbuster meeting with Brazil. Norway's success was built on far more than winning matches. They kept finding different ways to break opponents down. One of the clearest examples is how they use the right side of the pitch. Alexander Sørloth often starts from a wider position when defending, but as soon as Norway regain possession, he moves into the penalty area alongside Erling Haaland. That quickly creates a 2-striker attack while Julian Ryerson pushes forward to provide the width. Defenders are forced into a difficult decision. Stay compact to deal with Haaland and Sørloth, and Ryerson has space to deliver crosses. Move out to stop Ryerson, and Martin Odegaard finds the passing lane through the middle. That kind of repeatable pattern is exactly what coaches value in tournament football because it remains effective even under pressure and makes full use of Norway's strengths, instead of relying on one player to do everything. One of Ståle Solbakken's biggest achievements has been giving Norway the ability to adjust to different opponents. Against weaker teams, they control possession and keep the pressure high. Against stronger sides, they defend with greater discipline, protect central areas, and attack quickly after winning the ball. When facing aggressive pressing teams, Haaland gives them a direct outlet that very few countries can match. Against deep defensive blocks, Odegaard has the vision, patience, and accuracy to unlock tight spaces. That flexibility is one of the main reasons Norway have become such a dangerous knockout opponent. In tournament football, you do not need to dominate every minute. You need players who can decide key moments. Norway have a striker who can score from a single opportunity, a playmaker who can create it, dangerous wide attackers who stretch defenses, and the size to turn every set piece into a serious attacking threat. Norway sent a clear message before the tournament even began. In David Yarrow's official squad photograph, all 26 players were dressed as Vikings in front of a Norwegian fjord. The photograph itself was titled "The Vikings are coming," while the team shared it with the caption "Norway is coming." The costumes were only part of the story. The real message was unity. Every player stood together as one group with one identity. That image reflected the way this team plays. It is not just Haaland and Odegaard carrying a squad of supporting names. It is a complete team moving in the same direction. Norway did not come to the World Cup simply happy to end a 2-8-year absence. They arrived with the confidence of a side that won every qualifying match, scored more goals than any other European nation in qualifying, defeated Italy both home and away, and have already backed that up by reaching the knockout stage and defeating Côte d'Ivoire. That confidence is exactly why Brazil now face one of the toughest tests of the tournament. There is also one remarkable piece of history behind them. Brazil have never beaten Norway. Across 4 previous meetings, Norway have recorded 2 wins and 2 draws, including the unforgettable 2-1 comeback victory at the 1998 World Cup. That record guarantees nothing in 2026, but it says something about Norway at their best. Time and again, they have found ways to trouble football's biggest nations when they were given little chance. That could be the biggest mistake again. Judge Norway by their history alone, and they still look like outsiders returning after a long absence. Judge them by this squad, and the picture is completely different. They have one of the world's most feared strikers, one of Europe's finest playmakers, powerful forwards, exciting young wingers, a settled core, tactical flexibility, dangerous set pieces, and the confidence that comes from a perfect qualifying campaign before carrying that momentum into the World Cup knockout stage. Norway can press high, defend deep, counter at pace, grind out difficult results, or strike in an instant. They are no longer limited to one style of football. After 28 years away from the World Cup, this is no longer a team hoping to prove it belongs. It is a team capable of causing real problems for anyone standing in its way. That is what makes Norway such a dangerous opponent. Nobody wants to face a country that waited 28 years for this opportunity and now genuinely believes it can compete with anyone. Whether Norway's journey ends against Brazil or goes even further, they have already announced themselves as one of the stories of the 2026 World Cup. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Matchio for more football stories, World Cup analysis, and the biggest stories from around the game. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.